My wife and I had been married for 11 years. We weren't perfect. We argued about money, about work, about stupid little things that every married couple argues about. But I never questioned whether she loved me. Until she started changing. It happened slowly. She began staying late at work. She started taking her phone everywhere. Even to the bathroom. Whenever I walked into the room, she would lock her screen without thinking. At first I ignored it. Everyone deserves privacy. That's what I kept telling myself. Then one night I woke up around 3 in the morning. She wasn't in bed. I found her sitting alone in the backyard. She was crying, holding her phone. As soon as she saw me, she wiped her tears and smiled. She told me she couldn't sleep. I wanted to believe her. But something inside me knew she wasn't telling the truth. Over the next few weeks, things only became stranger. She started receiving phone calls from unknown numbers. Whenever they rang, she left the room before answering. She deleted every message almost immediately. One afternoon I asked her directly, "Are you seeing someone else?" She looked me straight in the eyes. No. I wanted to trust her. Instead, I started watching her. I hated myself for it. Every morning I checked whether she was really going to work. Every evening I looked for excuses that didn't make sense. Then one Friday she told me she had an overnight business meeting. I kissed her goodbye. Waited 5 minutes. Got into my car. And followed her. She never drove anywhere near her office. Instead, she parked outside an old warehouse on the edge of the city. There were no company signs. No lights. No employees. Just an abandoned-looking building surrounded by a broken fence. She got out of the car. Looked around carefully. Then walked inside. She stayed there for almost 2 hours. When she came out, she looked terrified. She kept looking over her shoulder as if someone was following her. I almost got out of my car. I almost confronted her. Instead, I drove home before she could see me. That night I didn't sleep. By morning I had made a decision. If she was cheating, I wanted proof. If she wasn't, I wanted peace of mind. A friend at work gave me the number of a private investigator. His name was Michael. He had been a detective for almost 20 years before opening his own agency. When I met him, I told him everything. The late nights. The secret phone calls. The warehouse. He listened without interrupting. When I finished, he nodded. Then he asked me one question. "Do you really want to know the truth?" I answered without thinking. Yes. He closed his notebook. Be careful what you wish for. Sometimes the truth destroys people more than the lie ever could. I didn't understand what he meant. 3 days later. My phone rang. It was Michael. His voice sounded different. He wasn't calm anymore. He wasn't confident. He sounded scared. Before I could say hello, he spoke. "Don't go home tonight. Just trust me. Don't go home." For a few seconds I couldn't say anything. I thought Michael was joking. Then I heard him lock his car doors. His breathing was heavy. "Michael. What happened? Did you find out who she's seeing?" There was a long silence. Then he answered. "Your wife is not cheating on you." I felt relieved. For about 2 seconds. Then he continued. "She's meeting the same man every week. But he isn't her lover." Then who is he? I don't know. But I've been following them for 3 days. Something is very wrong. What do you mean? Every meeting takes place in a different abandoned building. They never stay longer than an hour. They never hug. They never even shake hands. They just talk. Then they leave separately. I frowned. So what's the problem? Michael took a deep breath. Yesterday I photographed the man she was meeting. This morning I ran his face through an old police database. And the line went quiet again. Michael. And what? The man officially died 11 years ago. I laughed. That's impossible. That's exactly what I thought. Until I checked the file 3 more times. Same name. Same face. Same fingerprints. Declared dead in a house fire. I rubbed my forehead. None of it made sense. Maybe the records are wrong. That's what I hoped. So I went back to the warehouse today. I wanted to get closer. I wanted to hear what they were talking about. Did you? No. Someone saw me. My heart started beating faster. Who? I don't know. But the moment I got back to my car, another vehicle started following me. Black SUV. No license plate. It's still behind me. I looked out of my office window without thinking. Michael. Call the police. I already tried. Nobody answered. What? The station answered. Then the line suddenly disconnected. Twice. He sounded genuinely frightened. Then he spoke much more quietly. Listen to me carefully. Go somewhere public. Do not go back to your house. Why? Because I think they know who you are now. My stomach dropped. How? Your wife never mentioned you. I checked. So how do they know? Before Michael could answer, I heard tires screeching through the phone. Then a loud crash. Metal twisting. Glass shattering. Someone shouting. Michael. Michael. All I could hear was static. Then the call ended. I called Michael back immediately. Straight to voicemail. Again. Voicemail. Again. His phone was off. For the next hour I couldn't focus on anything. I kept replaying the crash in my head. The sound of breaking glass. The tires. His voice. Then I remembered what he had said. Don't go home. I left work early and drove to a crowded shopping mall instead. I sat inside a coffee shop near the entrance. Hundreds of people walked past me. For the first time all day, I felt safe. Then my phone buzzed. A message from my wife. Where are you? I stared at the screen. She almost never texted me during work hours. I replied. Still at the office. She answered almost immediately. Good. Stay there. My heart skipped a beat. Why would she tell me to stay away from home? Before I could reply, another message arrived. Whatever happens tonight, don't answer the front door. I read the message 3 times. Then I called her. No answer. Again. Nothing. The 3rd time, her phone was turned off. A cold feeling settled in my stomach. 10 minutes later another call came in. Unknown number. I almost ignored it. Then I answered. A woman spoke. Mr. Carter. This is Detective Emily Ross. We need to ask you a few questions about Michael Turner. My throat tightened. Is he alive? There was a pause. Mr. Turner was involved in a serious car accident about an hour ago. Is he alive? He's in surgery. I closed my eyes. Then she asked. When was the last time you spoke to him? I told her everything. The investigation. The warehouse. The black SUV. The phone call. The detective stayed silent until I finished. Then she asked one question. Did your wife ever mention a man named Victor Hale? No. Should she have? Another pause. Mr. Hale officially died 11 years ago. The exact same thing Michael had told me. This couldn't be a coincidence. Detective Ross continued. Mr. Carter. Your wife isn't under investigation. But Victor Hale was the last person seen with 3 missing individuals before his reported death. Missing. Not murdered. Missing. Nobody had ever found their bodies. I looked out the coffee shop window. Across the street, a black SUV was parked beside the sidewalk. The engine was running. Its headlights were pointed directly at me. I couldn't see who was inside. Then the driver's side window rolled down. A man wearing dark sunglasses slowly raised his phone. 1 second later, my own phone started ringing. Unknown number. The detective was still talking. Mr. Carter. Are you still there? I whispered. I think they found me. Slowly lowered my head. I pretended I hadn't seen the SUV. The detective was still speaking. Mr. Carter. I need you to leave that location immediately. Do not go to your house. Do not go to your office. We believe someone has been following you since this morning. I didn't answer. I couldn't. The man inside the SUV was now looking directly at me. Then he smiled. Not because he was happy. Because he knew I had seen him. The detective asked again. Mr. Carter. Are you still with me? Yes. Listen carefully. There's a police station less than 2 miles from your location. Drive there. Do not stop for anyone. Not even your wife. That sentence caught me off guard. What do you mean? We can't explain everything over the phone. Just promise me you won't meet your wife tonight. Why? Another pause. Then she quietly said. Because we no longer know if she's a witness. Or part of this. My blood ran cold. I ended the call. I walked out of the coffee shop without looking at the SUV. I got into my car. Locked every door. Started the engine. The black SUV pulled out behind me almost immediately. I didn't panic. Not yet. I drove toward the police station exactly as Detective Ross had instructed. The SUV stayed 3 cars behind me the entire time. Every turn I made. It made. Every traffic light I stopped at. It stopped. Then my phone buzzed. A text message from my wife. Please don't go to the police. I froze. How did she know where I was going? Another message appeared before I could think. They have people inside. Trust no one. Only me. A second later. Detective Ross called again. Mr. Carter. Where are you? I'm almost at the station. Good. Stay on the line. As I turned onto the next street, I saw flashing police lights. For a moment I felt relieved. Finally. Someone was going to help me. Then I noticed something strange. The officers weren't looking at the SUV. They were looking at me. One of them stepped into the road, raised his hand, and pointed directly at my car. I pulled over. Before I could roll down the window, 3 officers surrounded the vehicle. One of them shouted, "Daniel Carter. Turn off the engine. Keep your hands where we can see them." I looked at my phone. Detective Ross was still connected. Then she screamed, "Daniel. Drive." Those aren't police officers. For a split second I didn't know who to believe. 3 officers were pointing their weapons at me. Detective Ross was screaming through my phone. "Drive. Now." One of the officers slammed his hand against my window. "Turn off the engine." Immediately. I looked in the rearview mirror. The black SUV had stopped behind me. Nobody got out. It was just sitting there. Watching. Something felt wrong. If these were real police officers, why wasn't anyone paying attention to the SUV that had been following me for almost an hour? One of the officers reached for my door handle. It was locked. He looked directly at me. His expression didn't change. Then he quietly mouthed 2 words. "Open it." At that exact moment, Detective Ross shouted again. "Daniel! Look at their badges." I looked. Every officer was wearing a badge. But none of them had a name. Only a blank silver plate. My heart almost stopped. The officer on my left suddenly pulled out a radio. But instead of speaking into it, he looked toward the black SUV and nodded. That was enough. I slammed my foot onto the accelerator. The car jumped forward. Someone fired a shot. The rear window exploded behind me. Glass filled the back seat. I didn't stop. I kept driving. Cars swerved out of the way. My phone had fallen onto the passenger seat. I picked it up. Detective Ross was still there. Good. Keep driving. Real units are on their way. Don't stop for anyone. 5 minutes later, I reached the actual police station. This time everything looked different. Marked patrol cars, uniformed officers. People walking in and out. The moment I stopped, 2 officers rushed toward my car. They checked my identification. Then they escorted me inside. Detective Ross was waiting for me. She looked exhausted. She placed several photographs on the table. Do you recognize any of these people? I immediately pointed at one of them. That's the man from the SUV. She nodded. Then pointed to another. What about him? That's one of the fake officers. She took a deep breath. Daniel. Neither of these men are police officers. They work for Victor Hale. I frowned. I thought Victor Hale was dead. So did everyone else. Until 6 months ago. She slid one final photograph across the table. It was an old surveillance image. The quality was poor. But I recognized the woman standing beside Victor immediately. It was my wife. The photograph was dated 9 years before I ever met her. My entire body went numb. I looked at Detective Ross. There has to be a mistake. She slowly shook her head. We don't think your wife has been lying to you for 11 years. We think she married you because someone knew you would eventually lead them to something. To someone. I whispered. Who? Detective Ross looked me straight in the eyes. Your father.